Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
I don't see your face though. I don't know.
Okay, so I can see you.
Yeah, I can't see you specifically. I could hear you, but I can't actually see you. So
Huh.
you might just have to put like a camera or something on.
The camera's, like I said, what's that?
There's a camera icon on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Camera. No, it says disable. FaceTime mirror camera. And there's this way. That's not it. How about this?
Still can't see you.
That's weird because I can see you perfectly. Huh.
Yeah. Just if you want to come back, if you want to go out and come back in, maybe.
All right, let me try to see mirror
Yeah.
cam. Does that work? No.
Huh?
I'll see. That doesn't work. Okay, let me see. Okay, get out of camera.
Yeah, like leave and then come back in, and then put like the camera on. See.
This is, like I said, it's weird because I can hear you and see you, and then you can hear me, but you can't see me. Strange. Media member. I'm just looking. Video. This is live TV. Whoop, that ain't it. Hold on. Video. Yeah. I'm just looking. Like I said, I'm just. Stage. Studio. I honestly, like I said, I don't know what else there is.
Well, I mean, we'll have the show going. Pretty surely we're just gonna get our other guest in, Ryan.
Okay.
And then obviously throughout the show, like if you can try to get your camera on, like that'd be awesome. As long as I can hear you, that's obviously big. Um, but yeah, definitely just for kind of future. This is your first time doing this.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So obviously, we'll try to get it for the next time for sure.
Yeah, because I'm just looking. I'm just looking for the whole thing. Is it creator? This button? Like I said, I'm just looking up all over the place. I don't see anything. That's just weird.
So on the bottom here, right? Do you have like a camera button, like a mic button?
Okay, let me see. I have the mic. Let me see that one. Mic button. Yes.
Okay. So on the camera button, did you end up turning your camera on?
Camera's on. Microphone's on. There's one thing that's red. It says leave stage, which I'm not going to do. But everything else is on.
Interesting.
It says mirror camera, FaceTime HD camera.
Okay. I mean, I was just gonna say because it's happened to me before, but it hasn't happened in a while. If you wanted to leave stage and then come back on, and try to see if it obviously if it doesn't change anything, that's fine. But
All right, let me try leave stage then.
yeah, and then come back in and see if it might
Okay.
do anything.
Yep.
Okay, I see you now. I see you now on the bottom here.
Okay. Perfect.
Hello. There's Ryan. Okay, now let's see. Give me 1 second. Let me come out and come back in. All right, you guys stay there.
Okay. There he is.
Hello.
Sir, how are you?
All right, yourself?
Good. Good. Just a little snow here or flurry action, just cold. So.
Okay.
Yeah, how you like that?
Cool. We're good here. Dave, right?
I'm Dave.
Dave, very nice to meet you. This is Ben, Ryan here. We've been doing this baseball pod for the last 2 seasons. So it's very nice to meet you. We're actually kind of live right now. So obviously we'll transit it over to our overall show. So hello everybody. Welcome to another playback stream. This is our first playback stream that we've had on Hitting for the Cycle since Game 7 of the World Series. Ryan, it's very, very nice to see you again, my friend. I know it's been about a couple months now at this point in time. And I just thought yesterday, I said, with the winter meetings coming up, there's going to be a lot of MLB stuff coming in the next week or two. So I wanted to obviously come on here and get your overall kind of thoughts from both of you guys' standpoint of things on pretty much where your teams were going to be specifically, and just kind of reconvene for a busy point of the offseason. And of course, we have our new person here on the program, and that is Dave. Dave looks like he has some stuff in the background. Dave is a Phillies fan for those people that are interested to know kind of where he's coming from. Ryan is a Yankees fan. So, Ryan, we have now brought in a Phillies fan to our program for today. So, we're very excited for that. But before obviously we get started, make sure to follow us on Hitting for the Cycle at HFTC ETB. Obviously, make sure to follow us wherever you guys may be getting your podcast. And this episode is presented by Playback. Stay tuned later on for more about Playback later on in the program. And also, this episode is presented by our good friends over at Novik. Give me 1 second. Got to do a read here if I can get my my thing's going. So bear with me for a quick sec. Here we go. Hold on. Sorry about this, folks. Okay. Here's a playback read. Tired of paying a fortune just to watch the games you love? Do you miss the feeling of watching sports with your friends? Say goodbye to subscriptions, monthly fees, and outrageous cable bills. Say hello to Playback TV. Playback TV is completely free. That's right, no cost ever. You can watch the game in action and connect with other fans in real time, making every game a shared experience. Stop watching alone and start watching together. Head to playback.tv/ETB Network or download the app today. Join for free and dive into the future of sports watching. Playback TV, future sports, better community. All right, guys, we are filing out into the sports action of things. But before we get into the overall show, I just want to ask both of you, how are you guys doing? You guys ready for the holiday season? Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm doing good. See you, Ben. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays. And yeah, I mean, I am not a fan of the cold or the snow or the winter, but once Christmas is done, I'm kind of checked out of all of that, and I just want it to be spring by that point. But yeah, I'm doing good, and it's good to be on this show with you.
And Dave, how about you, my friend?
I am doing good. Thanks for inviting me on this program. Looking forward to the holidays. I guess they fast forward, like getting into January and stuff. I'm going to be curious about the winter meetings in terms of who does what or if anything gets done. I mean, there's a lot of talk, and there's been a move here or there, but I'm waiting to see with the big names, will they be signed during the winter meetings or will it be after the Christmas and New Year holidays? It's going to be a very interesting offseason.
So really quickly, before we get into the actual moves, I want to ask Dave, because obviously this is our first time obviously with you, Dave. How did you become a Phillies fan? And in terms of specific for baseball, what is maybe like one special moment that is kind of endearing to your heart? I know me and Ryan, when we kind of first introduced ourselves and of course into the show, we kind of had a very similar discussion about this. So, what do you think, Dave, in terms of how you became a Phillies fan and your overall best favorite moment of the team?
Like I said, I grew up with my dad was a Phillies fan. He was tortured, years in the 1950s, 60s, and early 70s when they just were bad and couldn't win. And I guess you could say when I started becoming a Phillies fan, they became better in the 70s, won in 80, and then they had a 83 was really good too. Then they just had a terrible 9-year run from 84 to 92 where they just couldn't win. They were always in last place. I've always have just loved them. Like I said, you're my first love. Like I said, the Phillies was because of my dad. But yeah, no, I feel like since they, I guess you'd say they got new ownership and whatever else since they moved into Citizens Bank Park, they become a better franchise in terms of like they're not like laughable like when they were when I was growing up. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's obviously great. The All-Star game is coming to Philly next season, and my goal is to hopefully hit that ballpark at some point next season.
Yeah, just good luck with the ticket prices. I mean, because I was hearing already how they're just gouging fans, and it's unreal.
All right. Obviously, now kind of leading into this program here, Ryan, what are some of your expectations for your Yankees coming in with the next couple days?
Well, that's kind of hard to answer, to be honest. So when it comes to the Yankees, is my microphone like reverberating through somebody's screen, or is
I think I don't know. I'm trying to figure out who's.
um, yeah, it's still going. All right, I guess we'll just have to live with it. When it comes to the Yankees, it's kind of hard to determine what to expect of them because there are a lot of holes with that team going into 2026. And, they've been linked, obviously, with two of the big free agent outfield names, Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger. Bellinger obviously opting out of his contract after this past season. And, he obviously is looking for a bigger payday. Both of them are Scott Boras clients. So it's kind of hard to determine where the Yankees are going to pivot to try and get which guy they're going to try and get. I know the Yankees have been in talks with Cody Bellinger recently, but there have been reports saying that the two sides are kind of far apart, and you don't know if that's going to continue to linger on. You don't know if Bellinger is going to start to look elsewhere, and if Bellinger does that, are the Yankees going to pursue Kyle Tucker? I was seeing reports that to acquire Kyle Tucker, it could take maybe up to maybe 10 years, possibly. I don't know if it's wise for the Yankees to undertake that kind of commitment for a guy who is going to be who's in his prime. He's going to be 29 next year, but they already got so many big contracts on their plate right now, from Judge to Stanton to Fried to Rodon to Cole. So I don't know if it's wise for the Yankees to undertake a contract of that size, and it's just. And they also have some guys in the minors. They're one of their top prospects, their top draft pick, Spencer Jones, who they drafted in 2022, still has yet to make the majors, and you can't keep him in the minor leagues for long. I mean, Jones, it really took a while to figure it out in the minors. And then there's also Jason Dominguez. So this is the biggest problem with the Yankees. It's their outfield situation. They're trying to figure out what's the right mix of guys. I mean, if you sign either Bellinger or Tucker, and also because Trent Grisham did accept the qualifying offer, somebody's going to have to go next year. There's no other way of saying it. That is if you sign Bellinger or Tucker. You sign one of those guys, in all likelihood, you either have to trade Dominguez or Jones or both. So it's kind of a tricky situation here, and I really don't know which way the Yankees are going to go or what they're going to end up with. It just depends on Hal and Cashman, have said they're being cautious with their money in the situation. They're not going to overpay here. They're not comfortable with that. They don't want to go over the $300 million luxury tax. So it's kind of tricky to determine which way they're going to go. And it's not just the outfield that's a question mark for the Yankees. First base is a question mark. Paul Goldschmidt obviously is not coming back next year. And, the Yankees might go with Ben Rice. He could be an option for first base. I mean, and Rice, he shows promise with the bat, but in terms of his defense, I mean, he's not a good fielder, whether it's catcher or at first base. Rice is really not a good fielder, and you can't really put him at DH because Stanton is at DH, and that Stanton contract's really starting to show its ugly head we're going deeper and deeper into it. I think there's 2 more years left of the Stanton contract, but right at this point, it's more of a black hole, really, because he's clogging a roster spot for some other guys who could use a day at DH, whether that be Judge or Ben Rice or whatnot. And of course, shortstop is a question mark. I mean, I know we talked about it, a couple of episodes ago with Anthony Volpe's status, and I think he's going to be back next year. I mean, he's obviously recovering from his labrum surgery, so I'm pretty sure Volpe is going to get another shot. But I mean, can you really trust him at this point? He's been in the league for 3 years now. Last year was his worst season, probably worse than his rookie season. And you really don't know if he's ever really going to develop into a solid major leaguer. So there's just a lot of question marks with the Yankees. And I mean, you look at the free agent market this year; it's kind of thin. And I really don't know what moves the Yankees are going to make this season that's going to really help them improve. They're going to pretty much the 2026 Yankees, I think, are going to, for the vast majority of it, they're going to be the same as the 2025 Yankees. And with the Blue Jays and how good they've become, you guys have made some off-season moves, which I'm sure you're going to talk about. I really don't feel that great about the Yankees going into the 2026 season. It's going to be mostly the same team as last year, maybe a new guy here or there, but for the most part, they're going to be running it back, I think. And I mean, the pitching staff, obviously, you're going to get some guys back from injury, like Cole. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery. But we'll see. I really don't have a lot of high expectations for the Yankees going into 2026.
You said, Ryan, that in terms of your Yankees right now, that, I mean, this, I think, offseason is going to be more heavy in terms of the trade market. And I think that the free agent market specifically is kind of thin, kind of after kind of the big, guys, of course, which we'll talk about. But I do think there is an avenue in which Brian Cashman will probably make a move, like he usually does every single year. That's like, whoa, like where the hell did this come from? I do agree with you in terms of I do think that most of that roster is going to be coming back pretty much that's very similar to last year. Maybe they make a potential trade for Jazz Chisholm, but I think that's highly unlikely. If they want to kind of go the route of Ketel Marte, maybe if he's available, probably doubt it. But yeah, I do think that this overall roster for you guys is very, very similar. But I do think, of course, with the addition of getting Cole back and getting some other guys, I do think it's much stronger. And I'm going to talk about Devin Williams as well, too. He has now moved on from the Yankees as well, Ryan, as we will definitely recap some of the moves that have already transpired as well, too. Dave, in terms of your Phillies definitely have a lot of specific guys to look out for, including a guy that both of our teams, I think, will be looking at in the next couple of days, and that is no other than Kyle Schwarber. I think that's definitely one guy specifically that you guys, of course, would like to bring back. I do think that's a very, very big piece you guys have. And then, of course, a couple of guys that could be on the trade market as well. Alec Bohm, Nicholas Castellanos, and then, of course, in your starting market, your pitching side of things, and Ranger Suarez. So what do you think in terms of your Phillies, Dave, coming into the next couple of days here?
Well, here's the breakdown I look with this team because they're intriguing, but they're also could be run it back or a mess. So you have Schwarber, who's probably down to 4 teams. It sounds like the Cubs have backed away. So you have the Phillies who could re-sign him, possibly. The Red Sox who are going to make, I think, a big push to get him. The Reds, but it's a hometown discount. Everybody knows they're not a big spender. And then it's going to be the Mets now. Steve Cohen is going to do the same thing that he did with Aaron Nola. He'll say, here's an offer, and going to try and push the Phillies to spend more. So you got that. I think it's 50-50 Schwarber's back. Then you have JT Realmuto.
JT, yeah. That's another one I forgot.
He wants 2 years because he wants to win a title. I don't think he's seen thing. I could see a team who needs a catcher and is really good, like the Red Sox, the Giants, to make an offer to him and say, come here. Like in terms of Phillies are really just I'm not really sold him next year because Suarez is already gone. You know that for a fact. He's going to get 4 or 5 years from the Giants, the Cubs, Blue Jays, whatever it may be. And then you're looking at Castellanos could be traded. Although yesterday you were saying about he was intrigued to maybe even play first base.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if you're going to trade him, you're almost going to have to eat the salary, maybe get a mid-level prospect back on him. Bohm, I could see being dealt because there they had a situation where you trade him, you could do a platoon thing with Otto Kemp and Eduardo Souza for a year until Aiden Miller, who will probably be with the Iron Pigs in AAA next year, will go in and fill. In terms of the Phillies starting rotation, that's a mess. Wheeler's going to not start the season. You got a good 1-2 combo in Sanchez and Luzardo, but then your back three, if you said now, it's Aaron Nola, Tawan Walker, who's good for 1 to 2 home runs allowed per game, and then Painter, who's your top prospect. But when I saw him at AAA last year, granted he was out for 2 years with the major arm surgery, his control issues. Now, could it be better come spring training? Yeah, it can be, but this team's just got a lot of question marks going into next year. And you still got Justin Crawford. Where do you play him? Where do you play Marsh? It's just, if you get rid of Castellanos too, who's playing right field for this team next year? Nobody knows. So they're kind of a mess, in my opinion.
And Ryan and I talked about the Phillies at Premium a lot throughout the year, basically kind of saying that their window right now, pretty much at this point in time, is winter. You got to do some changes, right? This has been kind of a trend for a long period of time. Honestly, very similar like how the Yankees have kind of transpired from the National League side of things. Ryan, what do you think about the Phillies come this offseason?
I agree a lot with what Dave says. There's just, but when it comes to, they got a lot of holes to plug for next year. I mean, like you mentioned, that rotation is a major question mark going into 2026, and Schwarber obviously is a hot commodity going into this off season. A lot of teams are going to be vying for his services. I do think when it comes to the Phillies, if they want to improve, I do think that they are going to have to get a little creative with some trade talks. I think Bohm is a good trade option for the Phillies to maybe explore possibly. The Phillies and the Yankees, their styles of play are kind of similar to one another. Both teams are pretty reliant on home runs. Both teams really need to switch it up a little bit here. They need to try and get a little more contact oriented. And, I think, losing Schwarber, while that would obviously diminish the team of some pop in the lineup, at the same time, you also vastly improve contact rate already by by moving on from Schwarber. So, I think the Phillies going into 2026, I still think they're going to be a top team in the NL East. But I think that the Braves are going to be back in the thick of things next year. And with the Mets and the moves that Steve Cohen has made, you never know what the Mets. They're kind of always like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get with them one year, and then maybe next year they'll be good. They're inconsistent, so you don't know if next year is going to be a year where the Mets are good or bad. We'll see what happens. I think the Mets will be better in 26 than they were this year. And also you got the pesky Marlins who can make some noise too. So but I think going into 26, I would still probably pick the Phillies to win the division, but it's not going to be an easy road. It's going to be a challenge, and they definitely need to make some moves. There's no doubt about it, and I think they got to get creative with some trades, and they just need a different approach on offense, and they got to clean up some of the they just got to find a way to put the bat on the ball more. And the same goes with my Yankees. Both teams really need to change the way they play because I just feel like it would be running it back again. I think both teams are going to be having the majority of the guys back next year, so they really need to switch it up a little bit with their style of play more than anything else, if you ask me.
You talk about the Mets,
real quick. Two things. First of all, this is the scary thing for the Phillies now. You get rid of Schwarber, who else on that team hits home runs?
Harper.
Harper.
Maybe 25, but after that, you're like Turner. No, they don't really have a bunch of guys that will hit home runs. So that's the first thing. Mm-hmm. Second thing I always thought too, when he was talking about the division thing, keep an eye on the Mets with Skubal.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cohen's going to make a move for him because they know the Tigers aren't going to pay him the way that he can, and they got a pretty deep, I think, top 10 prospect pool in the minors.
Yeah.
You could get 4 or 5 guys for him, and he puts in your starting rotation at one. That's a nice rotation you have up at Flushing. So
We could definitely say that for sure. But also keep an eye on the Braves, a team specifically, I think, that was really banged up in the rotation last year. And Ryan and I pretty much kind of talked about the Braves in terms of if they pretty much were staying healthy throughout this year, they would have been a playoff team. I mean, of course, with Chris Sale being out a lot this past year, Spencer Schwellenbach, Strider obviously missing some time. That's a team specifically that I think will come right back on the come up. I don't think Antonopoulos is probably going to make a lot of moves in the offseason, but I do think specifically with that overall core, it's definitely a team I think that's still going to be very, very strong come next season. Let's get into my Red Sox here. The Red Sox have already made two specific moves, as Ryan was talking about it, so I'll talk really quickly about those, and of course get into that, and then we'll kind of go around the league in terms of kind of what your guys' expectations are going to be. But the Red Sox have made two moves. Funny enough, two moves specifically with two teams that have had Red Sox ties with them. Chaim Bloom, which I do not want to talk about, Dave. Of course, he was the guy that traded Mookie Betts away. And then, of course, Ben Cherington with the Pirates. That basically just transpired a couple days ago. So the first move, and I want to get your overall thoughts about this move, guys, but the Red Sox made a trade for actually somebody that Ryan knows very, very fondly about with his Yankees. Sonny Gray is going to be coming to Beantown we don't know yet if he's going to be our number 2, our number 3. I do think specifically there is some hope for potentially another number 2 guy coming. Hint, hint. I'll let you guys know who later on the program. But I do like this move for the Red Sox. I think Sonny Gray specifically is a guy that has a lot of swing and miss stuff, which I think Craig Breslow really, really emphasizes. And I do think that specifically he has all different type of pitch mixes as well. I think that is one thing specifically that, a guy like Garrett Crochet coming in specifically, of course, he being kind of the ace. He has a lot of different type of pitches. But Andrew Bailey and the lab specifically the Red Sox have, I think Sonny Gray is a very, very good move. But I do think this also means that Lucas Giolito is going to be leaving the team. Ryan, I want to ask you first because, of course, this is somebody that you know very, very familiar with, Sonny Gray. What do you think about this move for the Red Sox, getting Sonny Gray?
Why not? Sonny Gray obviously is, an established veteran at this point. He's always been a solid pitcher, except when he was with the Yankees, of course. The Red Sox, rotation was vastly improved, obviously, when they got Garrett Crochet last year, and he's now going to be the ace for the foreseeable future. But the Red Sox kind of lacked a little bit of depth behind him besides Brian Bayo. So I definitely think getting another arm was critical for the Red Sox. I was thinking more of Joe Ryan like you were, that would be the guy that they would go after. But I guess you can't complain too much about getting a veteran like Sonny Gray. And I think getting another guy, especially a guy who is a veteran and is experienced, definitely helps them out in this case scenario. So now you're looking at a rotation that consists of Crochet, Bayo, Sonny Gray, Connolly early. You think he's going to be in the rotation at the beginning of next season?
I do, but I think that this is where my next thing comes to. I think there's too many guys now, pitching-wise, that you could definitely see another move coming up. But I do think that right now, Early and Tolley are your back end.
Yeah, then you got Early and Tolley in the back end. So it definitely improves the rotation, if you ask me, by getting Gray. I mean, I know he's 36 years old at this point, so he's obviously not the same pitcher he was in his prime with Oakland, but he still has nasty stuff, and he gives the Yankees fits whenever the Yankees face him because, of course, we can't hit our ex-teammates no matter what. So I definitely think it's a good move for the Red Sox. Like I said, I think there's kind of minimal risk here. You definitely needed to add another arm in that rotation, and I think Sonny Gray is kind of more on the it was a trade. I forget exactly who the Red Sox sent.
Richard Fitz was part of it.
Oh, yeah, Fitz, who was involved in the Verdugo deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I forget the other guy.
Somebody else. It wasn't for Brandon Clark, who was in our prospect pool lefty. So we didn't give up much.
But regardless, I think it's a good deal for the Red Sox. And now Sonny Gray, like every ex-Yankee does, takes shots at the Yankees whenever he joins the Red Sox. Why? I don't know. I just hope the Yankees smack him around whenever they face him this year, obviously. But good for the Red Sox. Yeah.
And what about you, Dave? What do you think about this move for Sonny Gray to Boston?
It's like Ryan said, he's a veteran starter, could probably fit well into the 3 spot. I don't know if they have maybe 4, but let's say for 3. I think he helps out any of the younger guys in terms of the pitchers, possibly out too. The one thing that I wonder about the Red Sox, and as I said, I don't know what their whole pitching staff, whatever else, is the situation with Durant. He's been mentioned in trade things. If they trade him, do they go get another starter? Do they go get another reliever? I'm curious your thoughts on Durant. Like, do you think he's back with them in 26, or do you think they're going to ship him out?
I'm actually going to say that for a little bit later on.
Okay.
But it's a very good question because I do think that I'll say this right now. I think our rotation is still incomplete. That's what I'm going to pretty much say right now. So, but I agree with you guys for sure. I just think it's going to be a good move. The next one is kind of an interesting move. Johan Oviedo, he's a moose, specifically a big guy. The Red Sox made a trade for him for the password. Joe Hunt, I can't even pronounce it. Garcia, who is pretty much part of our prospect pool. He just wasn't going to have a massive fit on this team. He was an outfielder, and of course, our outfield surplus right now. You have Roman Anthony, you have Cedon Rafaela, and then of course, it's either going to be Willier or Jaron Duran. I'll kind of get into what I think it's going to be. But Garcia specifically, he can go to Pittsburgh. Pretty much got a lot more playing time over there, kind of on a younger type of team. And Oviedo can kind of come in and kind of be a back end arm. Specifically, I do think that if we don't make any more pitching, which I don't think is going to happen, but I think that pretty much tells you that it's going to be Crochet, Ray, Bayo, Oviedo, and then either Early or Tully. So that is Craig Russell's number 2 trade that he has made. Craig loves the trades right now, and I do think he's still going to be active in the next couple hours here. But Ryan, I'll obviously ask you first. What do you think about this trade? Trade number 2 for the Red Sox for another pitcher.
Oh, I didn't really know much about Oviedo until this trade was made. He just came off Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago. But from the looks of it, it looks like this guy's got some nasty stuff. First of all, he's a big dude. He's 6'6" and 275. And he throws about a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He also has a curveball, sinker, and a changeup. Maybe the Red Sox, I guess, saw something in him that they think they can tweak and, I guess, make him a more effective pitcher. I mean, he's coming from Pittsburgh. So I definitely think this is, like I said, it's kind of similar to the way I feel about Sonny Gray. Why not? The Red Sox definitely needed to get creative with their pitching. But is he going to be more of a bullpenner, or is he going to be in the rotation?
They right now view him more as a starter.
They view him more as a starter. All right. So I guess he would probably be the number 4 or 5 then.
Yes.
So, last year he went 2-1 with a 3.57 ERA and 42 strikeouts and limited action. I think he could definitely be effective. There's no doubt about that. The Red Sox pitching is better this year than it's been is going to be better this year than it has been in recent years. Now that the Red Sox finally broke their playoff drought, they're back into their contention window, and they're starting to just kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together, exploring what is going to work for them, who is the ideal fit for this role or that role. Who's going to help us get over the hump and help us win some playoff series and then eventually get back to the World Series. So it's all kind of experimentation for the time being, if you ask me. But I definitely think there's definitely some positives that this guy brings to the Red Sox. So we'll see how he fares out once he takes the mound in Boston.
What about you, Dave? What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's a good move. The one question I have is Pittsburgh going to have a payroll that's about $20 million? I mean, it seems like they get everybody for bargain basement.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at their payroll. As I said, it's like, okay, you have Reynolds, Keller, and Gonzalez who make money. I just said these guys making the minimum wage, and then I guess with Pittsburgh, it's just, I guess they're like, just get rid of another veteran. We'll get some young kids. I don't know if he's going to go to AAA Indy, or does he make the club and nothing? It's your typical Pittsburgh move. Just get bargain basement and get rid of a veteran or so like that. I mean, if with Oviedo, as they say his last name, I think he'll be a fine fit. He fits in well as long as his arm doesn't blow out or he has issues. I think it's a good fit for Boston. They're probably just trying to fill holes, and they saw that in Pittsburgh. Was like, yeah, we'll deal him.
Yeah. So we're going to have to see. But let's go around the league here, folks, because, of course, we're going to be running a little bit on time here with Trevor coming up on the top of the hour with the college football show. So make sure, of course, to join it for that after this. Ryan, let's go into kind of around the league. I'm going to go through a couple deals specifically now. And, of course, I'll ask you, Dave, in terms of how you guys feel about them. So, of course, Josh Naylor has re-signed with the Seattle Mariners. That was a first move that broke down on November 16th. So, of course, it's been a long time since then, of course, before Thanksgiving. We also had a couple different other, like, one-for-one swap trades. Brandon Nimmo on the New York Mets got traded to the Texas Rangers for Marcus Semien. A very, very interesting move, to say the least, for that. The Orioles acquired Taylor Ward, who was kind of on the chopping block for the last couple seasons, but he finally got traded in exchange for Gracias Rodriguez, pitcher that I think a lot of people had a lot of hopes for. The injury specifically kind of been a reason for that. And then a couple other, smaller moves. I mean, the Cubs acquired Phil Maton. The Braves re-signed Raisel Iglesias. And then kind of later on, we had a big one here from the Toronto Blue Jays. They seem to kind of look at that World Series loss and take it personal. I don't know how much personal, but they went out and got Dylan Cease for 7 years, $210 million. An absolute just complete overpay, unless you guys think otherwise for that. And then, of course, we had other ones. Ryan Helsley went to the Baltimore Orioles. I thought that was a very enticing move for them, especially if they move on from Felix Bautista. And then Devin Williams, who, of course, Ryan, we talked about, he is now going to the New York Mets. So he is now moved on, and he is now specifically one guy specifically that's following the Juan Soto route. Sorry, Ryan, to break that to you, but he's now driven over to the other part of New York. So let me ask you guys specifically. I know, of course, I went through a bunch of different type of deals, but what is one move specifically, maybe kind of throughout that list that I kind of mentioned to you, that is a very enticing move, a move maybe that you guys do like as well too that I mentioned. Just kind of your overall thoughts. So Ryan, I want to ask you first. What do you think about some of the moves that I kind of mentioned that have already transpired before tomorrow?
I agree with you that Dylan Cease is a massive overpay for the Blue Jays. That contract is ridiculous, if you ask me. I mean, Cease I think is good, but I don't think he's worth that kind of. I don't think he's worth that kind of money in that many years. I mean, and you look at some of his previous seasons. I mean, 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he's had an ERA over 4.5. So I mean, Cease to me is kind of overrated. I think he's good, but like I said, that's a ludicrous contract if you ask me, and I think that's going to hurt the Blue Jays down the road. But maybe he, gives them, a solid, season or two. Obviously the Blue Jays are very aggressive this offseason after just making it to the World Series, and we're just 2 outs away. They're not going to get over that, obviously. So the Blue Jays are definitely going to do everything they can to stay competitive. And this was one move that this was one route they decided to go down. But I just think they could have made a little smarter moves elsewhere, maybe via trade or something like that. So yeah, that's one move that just made me shake my head like that. That's a little ridiculous. Devin Williams going to the Mets was very predictable. I had a feeling the Mets would scoop up another ex-Yankee. They just love our leftovers, man. No matter who it is, they just go, "Ooh, ex-Yankee, let's get him. Soto, Clay Holmes, Frankie Montas, freaking Harrison Bader. As long as they wear pinstripes, the Mets will take them off the street and dress them in their pinstripes. So yeah, whatever. Devin Williams also taking shots at the Yankees for some reason, at Yankee fans for whatever reason. The guy bombed as a Yankee. Had no business wearing a Yankee uniform. It was I was excited to have him last year in the beginning, and that excitement went down the toilet after opening day, basically. So yeah, so goodbye to Devin Williams. Congrats on your payday, though. So I think that's kind of a fair deal for Devin Williams. Kind of not a big contract, but I think fair enough. That's the maximum I think he would have gotten anywhere. So Williams is now with the Mets. Taylor Ward to the Orioles I thought was a pretty interesting move. I think that could be kind of an underrated move if you ask me. The Orioles offense was pretty disappointing this past season, and they definitely need to improve that lineup. And I think, Ward, I think is a little underrated if you ask me. I mean, his numbers aren't anything crazy, but I think he was always a solid player for the Angels. He's got some pop, and, I definitely think he could help the team out a little bit. the Orioles still need to work on that rotation, though. It's dangerously thin. They're not going to be able to compete with anybody if they don't get an arm or two. They really need a major overhaul there. I mean, one guy that I think that you didn't mention was Ryan Housley going to the Orioles.
Yep.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
I think that Housley will do better in Baltimore than he did with the Mets. I think he was just too afraid of the bright lights in New York. I think going to a little bit of a calmer environment such as Baltimore will help him out in that situation.
Yep.
So I think he'll definitely be a crucial piece for the Orioles. So those are some of the moves off the top of my head that stood out to me. A guy that I'm curious to well, I guess I'm not curious. I'm expecting one of the big free agent names that's on the market besides Bellinger and Tucker is Bo Bichette. But I kind of expect him to re-sign with the Blue Jays, honestly. I don't really see him going anywhere. But that's the way I feel about some of the moves that have been made.
Dave, what about you?
There's a couple things. First of all, the Dylan Cease thing for $30 million for 8 wins, I was like, okay. Like, I guess Toronto's got money to burn.
Yeah.
But there's a couple moves I was surprised at. The Taylor Ward things was a little bit for the Angel side. It's, is it once again, I guess they're hoping Rodriguez's arm is fine. I know he's had issues before. It's also, there's been talk out there about, even I heard one rumor about trading Joe Adell. And then once again, you're like, who's your offense out there? Because you don't know about Mike Trout with his history of injuries. Yep. So that was one. The Josh Naylor move I like, but it's just like big park. Like, is he going to hit 25, 30 pops in Seattle? But it was a good move for there. I know that rumor that Pittsburgh was supposedly going to offer $80 million, and I was just like, okay, that's that one. I was like, whatever. The move that it was intrigued about the most right now, though, has been the Nemo Semien trade.
Yeah.
I like Nemo. I thought he was a great leadoff guy. They moved him to cleanup, then they moved him to 3. They couldn't figure out a spot for him. I don't understand why they dumped him. And then the other question with Semien's this. You get him. Where does that deal leave McNeil? Do they trade him? Do they make Semien?
He's all but gone. I basically can answer that to you right now.
What's that?
He is gone. He's leaving.
Because there's a rumor that him and Lindor aren't getting along. They showed some old video from last year where there was some friction. So, yeah, because I'm thinking, like, do they make Semien a DH? And they also have issues with their team with Darryl. Because, like, they have 2 free agents I'm very intrigued about this offseason that both the Mets did what they're going to happen. Edwin Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
I know they said there was talk they want to re-sign him, and then Williams had said I'm a setup guy for him if you got him. And then the other one's Pete Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Yankees were mentioned. That'd be a reversal there. They talked about the Cubs. So there's some intriguing. That was an intriguing free agent one with Alonso that I'm like. I know the Phillies were mentioned at one point, but I'm like, I don't think he will come here. I think it's going to be someone with Chicago. I could see him there fits in well at first base or DH, hit home runs at Wrigley Field. So those are some names that I'm curious about with the free agency. Bo Bichette, but were they talking about him going back to Toronto, or is there our teams that like?
There's some other avenues which I'll talk about, but I was going to do some really quick with you guys at the end here that kind of relates to Bo Bichette.
Okay. So that's what I'm intrigued by with free agency so far.
Okay, so before we pretty much finish it off, I think I did this a little bit with Ryan kind of early on, but I think, we can kind of go back to it. We're basically just going to rapid fire. I'm going to do some names, and you guys are going to predict at this point in time, where do you guys specifically think that these guys are going to be going to? So, of course, I'm going to just kind of go off of the top of my head. I'm going to start with Kyle Tucker. For me specifically, I have him going to the Dodgers. I'm actually changing my mind now. He's going to Toronto. What do you guys think?
I mean, these are always hard because you never know. I can see Tucker. I'm going to stick with the Dodgers with Tucker. I think after the Cease deal, the Blue Jays might be a little more conservative, possibly. I could be wrong, but I'll stick with the Dodgers with Tucker.
And what about you, Dave? What do you think Kyle Tucker goes?
Kyle Tucker goes to the Dodgers. Dodgers then in return also trade Teoscar Hernandez to another team.
I can see that.
All right. Next is going to be Alex Bregman. I have him re-signing back to the Red Sox. What about you?
I got him going back to the Red Sox too. Yeah.
Dave?
I see Boston. I know they mentioned the Phillies. So I'm like, they got no room for him. They have on the payroll, so I can see Boston.
All right. Next one is going to be Bo Bichette. I have him going back to Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto.
Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, I have him coming also to Boston. Ryan?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Oh God. I could see Boston. Oh man, jeez. Where else could he possibly go? Who's the first baseman for Houston? Do
It's
they have
Christian
one?
Walker.
Oh yeah, Walker. That wouldn't make
But
sense.
he could be traded. That is one of the guys specifically that is rumored to be traded.
If they maybe Houston, possibly, but I don't know. I think Boston might be a better fit for him. You know what? Give me Boston. I think that's a good fit for Alonso.
Dave?
Cubs.
Cubs.
Still
I like
going with
that.
the Cubs.
All right. Next one is going to be Edwin Diaz. I have him going back to the New York Mets. Dave, I'll go with you on this one. Edwin Diaz.
Well, Cullen's got money to burn. You know what? I'm thinking that he'll go AL. I'm thinking Houston. I'm thinking, I'm like, does he go to the Yankees? Maybe.
No, Yankees don't need him. They have Ben Nar.
I'm gonna say Houston. I'm just gonna throw one out there, or Seattle. Does he go back to Seattle? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm gonna say Houston.
Ryan?
I think he is going to the Yankees. The Yankees.
Oh!
The Yankees bullpen this past season was not good, and they unloaded a lot of arms. They let guys. They let go of guys like Loizaga. They let go of Mark Leiter Jr. So they definitely have some holes in that bullpen next year, and they definitely need some help. Luke Weaver, in all likelihood, I think is not coming back either. So there are some openings in that bullpen. They definitely need some help, if you ask me. So. I think the Yankees want to make a splash this offseason at some point, so I think they're going to go after Diaz.
And the last specific big fish that'll be out there free agent, and Dave, of course, knows him very well, that is no other than Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, Dave, you're going to like what you're about to hear. I have him going back to re-sign with the Phillies. What about you?
I think Middleton will do what it takes to get him back. I think it's going to be between the Phils and the Red Sox. I think it'll be the Phillies resign, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be real close. I think it's for him. It's going to be a tough decision. Like I said, the Reds and the Mets are out to me. So I'm just going to say the Phillies, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to Boston.
Right.
Yeah, I think it probably will be the Phillies most likely. I know that I do agree with Dave in regards to how the Red Sox will be aggressive, but the Red Sox, in my opinion, they don't necessarily need Schwarber as much as the Phillies do. If you ask me, the Red Sox, their offense is pretty solid going into next season. You're gonna get a full season out of Roman Anthony. He could be that left-handed power bat in that lineup. So I think because of that, and because the Phillies, besides Schwarber and I guess Harper, they don't really have a lot of power bats. They touched on that earlier. So, I think that it's essential for the Phillies to try and lock up Schwarber I guess I'm kind of maybe sounding opposite of what I said earlier. They need to get more contact-oriented. But Dave did make a good point, though. I forgot that they don't really have a lot of power bats outside of Schwarber. So, yeah, maybe because of that, Schwarber does go back to the Phillies. So I kind of sounded a little different than what I said earlier in regard. I still think they need to get a little more contact-oriented, but they could always use a power bat in that lineup.
With Dylan Cease off the market, I'm going to name two guys now in the starting rotation of things. Framber Valdez. I have him going to the New York Mets. I think they definitely need a lot of help there. And it's going to be either between him there or the Orioles, but I have him going to the Mets. Ryan.
And I said Cincinnati because I think the Reds are an upcoming team. I'll stick with Cincinnati. I don't see Valdez thriving in a big market, honestly. I think he'll dominate more on the lower end. I know the Reds don't really spend money, but I think Valdez could get a 5-year contract somewhere for a decent amount of money. So, you know what? Why not?
That's a fun fit, though. That is a fun fit. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm going to take a wild card shot at this. I'm going to say the San Diego Padres.
Okay. All right,
they got rid of Cease. This guy's younger, more wins, can throw strikeouts more. I'm going to say they're going to give him like a 3 or 4 year deal, big money.
Michael Caine. Ryan, I've been taking some thoughts about this. He's going back to the Yankees.
You really think?
Because the Yankees currently right now have some guys that are going to be injured coming into the season via the starting rotation. And I think
Yep.
specifically might need some more depth there. He could be a long relief, he could be a starter. He just has that fit there. Going back to the Yankees. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about him in terms of the big free agent thing. I guess I would say the Yankees would be a good fit. I'm trying to think where else would he possibly could
The
fit in.
Mets.
Let's just say Yankees.
Brian.
I could see the Yankees. I know I also said I could see Boston with Michael King. I think he's from that area.
We have some interest in him. That's what I've been hearing. So,
I think it's either going to be the Yankees or the Red Sox.
all right. It makes sense because he's from Rhode Island as well, too. Trade candidates very, very quickly before we sign off. The first one is going to be Eric Skubal. Is he gone? If he leaves? For me specifically, I think the Tigers do hold on to him until this off season. Right.
I think the Tigers are going to hold on to him too for the time being. If the Tigers fall out of contention, maybe they take a look and see if they can get something at the trade deadline. But for the time being, I think he's going to stay put in Detroit.
Dave.
I have Scooble being dealt in the winter sometime. I just think with Scott Boras as his agent and what we're talking like $250 million supposedly is on the market what he wants, I could see a team like the Mets is saying, here's our prospect thing. They give all the starters and whatever else. Like take 4 or 5 guys. We'll take Scooble and we have our one for the long term.
Ketel Marte from the Diamondbacks. I do think he gets dealt. I have him traded to the Toronto Blue Jays to play second base.
Yeah, that sounds like a good move.
Bichette goes to short.
Bichette would move to short. Well, Bichette, yeah. Moving Bichette would stay at short. But, yeah, Marte, I could see that. Where else could I see him possibly going?
You go to the Mets if McNeil leaves.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Either the Blue Jays or the Mets.
What about you, Dave? Tell Marte.
Toronto was mentioned. I could see a fit there. I know that they were talking
Tigers.
They were talking about Philly. I laughed at that one because you got to give up again. You got to go, but you're going to go like 4 guys for him, 5 guys,
At least 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say Toronto. I think it'd be a good fit there.
We've had some ties to Marte. I just don't see it happening. I don't think that we're going to trade for a position at this point. Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan, specifically according to Rosenthal yesterday, there's reports that the Twins hold on to him. Do you guys believe that or not? Ryan, I'll go to you.
For the time being, yeah, I think they'll hold on to him. But I definitely think he could be dealt at the deadline. I just don't know exactly what the Twins. The Twins are going through another rebuild, so I think they just need to maybe have something for fans to look forward to going into the beginning of the season at least. So for the time being, he'll stay with the Twins, but I definitely see him getting dealt at some point next year.
Dave.
Stays, like what Ryan said, him and even the Buxton both dealt the deadline. I don't know who for the Twins you root for. Who's your guy you go to after these two? It's just like it's literally a bunch of nobodies. At least I'm not forgetting somebody, but they're in a total rebuild.
All right, you guys have one guy specifically that I did not mention that you guys think will get traded.
Well, I don't know if he'll get traded necessarily. I wanted to see what you guys think. How about Fernando Tatis?
Oh, I was about to say, no. I think same thing. Hold on.
Say?
Yeah, he stays.
Yeah.
Dave?
I'm trying to think who else could possibly be dealt at. Like you hear, like.
Oh, you know what? I forgot a guy. I know. Nolan Arenado from the Cardinals. He will be moved, and I have him going to the Detroit Tigers.
Wow.
Tigers.
Tigers are not going to get Bregman. That is their pivot. I'll go to you, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think who's a. I know the one name that was mentioned also in the trade was the guy from Seattle, Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah,
Yep.
There's talk about him. I don't know who else we were out there. You hear like big names. It's like, well, he's going to be dealt. It's just.
I think Jaron Duran will be also dealt. I did not mention that before. He will be the guy that's going to get traded from the Red Sox.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Duran's going.
There is one curious free agent name we even forget to talk about too, and that's Milwaukee starter Peralta.
Oh yeah, Freddie Peralta.
He is a trade candidate. I have him going to Boston.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, Freddie Peralta going to Boston.
And Ryan, you want to hear this? This ties. I have Brian Bayo being in that trade package to go to Milwaukee for Freddie Peralta.
If they got him,
Wait.
the Red Sox would have a heck of a rotation.
That's
Wait,
why the Red Sox rotation's incomplete because that's my next guy that's getting the Red Sox.
Wait, Peralta's not a free agent. He would have to get traded.
The trade piece.
He's a trade piece.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought he was a free agent. Okay.
I thought he was too.
Yeah.
Peralta.
He could be a Met though.
Trade piece.
He got that
Alright.
team in Milwaukee in New York.
Here.
I do have another trade name to mention too, and I'll just throw it out there. Mitch Keller.
Oh yes. Yes. Mitch Keller, you are a Baltimore Oriole.
I was thinking a team like Kansas City would fit him too. Like
if Ravens gets traded as well, because the Royals might be doing some trade shopping as well.
Yeah. I just got to figure. I don't think they're gonna like Pittsburgh. I don't think will ever trade schemes. They're just gonna run him into the ground and use him for bobbleheads. I don't. Like Pittsburgh will use him for bobbleheads and whatever it is to sell.
He's the only thing worth seeing right now in Pittsburgh.
I think they're reporting that Pittsburgh's going to make a big splash. Jorge Polanco, you are a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Polanco.
That'll be their big splash, which is not. Yeah. It's nothing bad, but it's come on.
As I said, I just don't. The only one I can see is maybe it's Keller, or not. I don't know any big names would shock me. But then I got shocked by Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right. Couple minutes more left, Ryan. Anything else?
No, I'm not really good with these off-season predictions or anything like that. I'm always way off on some of them, or most of them for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the hot stove next week, and I just hope to see some action. I hope to see some names going elsewhere. It's supposed to be an exciting week. I mean, the winter meetings are always and intriguing. They're really the highlight of the off season. They're the one thing that keeps baseball fans on their toes. Everybody has this week circled on their calendar.
All right, we got 3 minutes left. Really quickly, one name specifically, bold, specific move that you guys think is happening. Freddie Peralta is mine. What about you, Dave, for your Phillies?
Hot move. I guess you want to call it. I don't know if it's a hot move. I would say I think they're going to trade Bohm at sometime in the winter. I guess you say the hot move. That would be that. I don't know if there's anything else with real moves or that in terms of trade. I would say that.
Okay, Ryan, Yankees going to make anything big that you feel
going into this season or during the season?
I'm going to say going into the season.
Going into the season. Oh, jeez.
Does Cashman put up his sleep, or is he still sleeping?
Right now, I think he's still sleeping. He's not going to do anything until we at least get to the winter meetings, if you ask me. I think the winter meetings, either Tucker or Bellinger are going to get signed somewhere.
Okay. So.
You know what? I guess the big thing, I'll say the Yankees re-signed Bellinger. That's probably going to be their big off-season move. I just don't really see them doing much else. I think there's a better chance that they re-sign Bellinger. He's on the cheaper end as well. I think he makes more sense to the Yankees than Kyle Tucker does because Tucker, is just going to be more expensive. And I mean, with all those big contracts the Yankees already have on their plate, I just think Bellinger is probably the wiser choice. I think eventually the Yankees will give in to what he wants.
All right. Well, we will see what happens. We have about now a day away until the start of the winter meetings down at Disney. That's essentially where they have the meetings taking place over at Disney. So hopefully there is some magic from all of your guys' teams. We'll obviously have to find out about that. Let's try to make a Disney tie with the overall winter meetings. But yeah, no, it should be very, very exciting. I do think there's going to be a lot of trade action, kind of more than the actual moving on this coming week than the actual free agents. That might take a little more time. But Dave, thank you once again for coming on. Really appreciate it. I was going to say, Ryan, thank you once again for coming on. It was a great overall time. And hopefully we can kind of reconvene at some point, kind of do an overall recap, maybe in a couple weeks specifically. But at this point in time, just want to thank you guys for coming on, and let's have a great overall offseason. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.